Hey guys, this is Alan Moore, certified financial planner and founder of Serenity Financial Consulting. Thanks for joining me. So people ask me all the time, how much money do I need for retirement? So on one hand, you may ask, well, how much do I need when I turn age 65 and want to retire? But the other question is, well, I'm 35 years old today. How much do I need today in order to be sure that I'm on track to have whatever it is that I want when I turn 65? So Fidelity Investments recently asked the same question and did a research study that they recently released to basically provide some good benchmarks or rules of thumb so that you know at different ages how much you should have saved for retirement. And they based it on current salary. So Fidelity says that at age 35, you should have 1 times your current salary saved for retirement. So if you're making $80,000, you should have $80,000 in the bank saved just for retirement. By age 45, you should have 3 times your salary. By age 55, you should have 5 times your salary. And by the time you retire, you should have 8 times your salary for retirement. So if you're making $100,000 a year, they recommend whenever you retire that you have $800,000 in the bank. Now this may seem like a lot, but I'll get into it a little bit later. These are pretty good rules of thumb. I think they're a good starting point. But I do want to call your attention to a few points that kind of came up in my mind when I was reading the study that I want you to consider before you just jump in and use these benchmarks to say, oh yeah, I'm on track, or oh no, I'm not. The first one is Social Security. So this study assumed that workers would receive 85% of their promised benefits. So if right now your Social Security says you're going to get $2,000 a month, they're saying you're really only going to get 85% of that. Now, that's a very big assumption. Now, we all know with this political climate, there's a lot of changes that can and probably will be made to Social Security, particularly by the time you turn 65. One of these changes that very well may happen is a means testing. So basically, those that have less money saved for retirement will get a bigger Social Security check, and those that have saved more will get a smaller benefit check. Now, the reason behind this is, of course, those who have less saved need it more. This poses an interesting conundrum, however, if you're saving for retirement and you have saved 8 times your salary, you have $800,000 in savings and you've worked really hard for that. Well, now you're going to get less Social Security, which means that you're going to need to save more to make up for that. So it's just something to consider. Another piece that very well could happen with Social Security is they continue to raise the retirement age as they've done in the past, which basically just means you'll be receiving it later than you currently will. Another thing are withdrawal rates. Now, if I told you that you had saved $500,000 for retirement, how much income does that produce? So you've got all this money in savings, but you want to take some out every year to support your lifestyle. How much can you take out of a $500,000 portfolio? Well, research says 4%. That's $20,000. That's it. Now, I'd be willing to bet that you, like me in the past, think $20,000 on $500, that doesn't make any sense. But that's how much you can take and be reasonably sure that your money is going to last throughout your lifetime. Okay? So it's important to consider the fact that if you're planning on taking 10% out, you're going to be out of money in 14, 15 years. Even 5 and 6% get dangerously high in terms of amount of risk that you're taking for your portfolio. So just plan on 4%. It's just something to consider. Another point is retirement income. So based on that 4% rule, if you're able to earn $500 a month in retirement in income after you've hit age 65, $500 a month represents $150,000 of savings, right? Because $150,000, 4% of that is $6,000. That's $500 a month. So if you're able to find a way to make $500 or even $1,000, $2,000 a month in retirement, then you could significantly offset the need to save more. Now granted, if you're earning $2,000 a month in retirement, it's going to be hard to do that all the way up to the last month that you die, but it just goes to show how much earning income in retirement can affect the need to save. This is why I heavily encourage clients to consider their careers and really be sure they're in a career that they love, because then they can continue doing it, maybe even just as a consultant or part-time after normal retirement age. Another point to consider is that the traditional view of retirement may be dead. Now, I don't make a whole lot of predictions. My crystal ball that they issued me in financial planning school is not very good, and so I really don't like making them. But I will make a prediction on the fact that the standard traditional view of retirement is dead, and it will definitely be dead by the time, if you're 35 or 45, by the time you get to retirement. The traditional view of retirement is that you get to age 65 and you just quit working. You retire, you take your pension or your IRA or whatever, you live off of that and Social Security, and that's fine. I just don't believe that's going to continue to be feasible. For one, Americans haven't saved enough to support a lifestyle of not earning any income from age 65 until death. And with medical advances, we're increasing longevity. So you're living longer and longer and longer, and so whatever you save for retirement has to last a lot more years, which means you need to have saved significantly more. I just don't believe that the social programs such as Social Security and Medicare, they weren't designed to support these increases in lifestyles, and so we know there's going to have to be some adjustments, to those programs. But I would say that is a huge thing to consider when you're thinking about how much you need to have saved. The final point is your lifestyle in retirement. What you do in retirement is really going to be the determinant on how much you need. So some of my clients, when they retire, they will travel the world, they take their families on cruises and vacations, and they really just get out there and spend a lot of money, and that's okay. But they may be spending a lot more than they were when they were just working and saving their money. Other clients, for example, may dedicate their time and energy to a charity. Well, they may not need as much money then as they did even before they retired. So how much you need is going to be based on your own goals and what you want to do in retirement. Fidelity's benchmarks are a great starting point. I would say they're a little low for most of my clients, but that being said, we have to recognize that most Americans are not even on track to meet these goals, much less exceed them. So we have to be realistic about what we can do and what we can expect. I would say that the number one thing is just be sure you're putting aside 10 to 15% of your income for long-term goals such as retirement. And then focus really hard and spend a lot of time thinking about what you want out of life. What are your financial goals? What are your life goals? And how can you arrange your finances to support those goals? Only when you know your retirement goals, your long-term goals, can you figure out what it's going to take to support them. That's all I have for today. Thanks so much for joining me.